Warning, this episode has adult language. Listener's discretion is advised. Hey everyone! Yes, I am back from the dead, and I do apologize for being gone so long. This episode of Alternative Universe is a little different from the others. After I am done talking, an entire uncut interview will be played. Just wanted to give you a heads up, and Leon's Twitter will be put in the description below. So stay tuned for his interview, and stick around for our cat discussion at the end. Enjoy!
Hello?
Hello.
That's better. I can hear you now.
Oh, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
So you're doing was it a project, a high school project or something, was it?
Yeah, I'm a senior at Longland University here, and I'm doing an interactive long form, and I wanted to do it about freelance writers.
Okay, so what do you want to know? What can I help you with?
Okay, but first I must warn you, you have an accent, I am an American, so my ignorance will kick in, and I may ask you to repeat things twice.
That's fine, I'm used to it, yeah.
All right, as long as you know, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, first, can you please start off with your name and position?
So my name is Leon Hurley, and I am Executive News Editor at Games Radar.
Okay. In your own words, what is a freelance writer or reporter?
They are a writer that isn't sort of bound or attached to any kind of fixed body, so they don't belong to a magazine or a website. They approach websites. They're either approached by a website who asks them to write something like on spec, so to write one specific thing, or they go around websites and pitch them different ideas. So it might be like at the moment I'm looking for news stories. I'm looking for sort of interesting community kind of driven news stories. I want people to find out like weird Easter eggs in games, or why a certain gun in Call of Duty is important. So I'm looking for people to write those stories, and I will offer them money to write that story. And in the past, when I've been doing sort of some freelance stuff, I've never been fully freelance, but I have done freelance. You come up with an idea and go, would you like me to write about this? And if someone likes it, they pay for it.
Okay. And to go a little deeper on how they are in contact with either the editor or the company themselves, is it usually through email, a friend is like recommending them to you, or do they actually approach you?
I think it's a mixture of all of them, really. Like sometimes people will approach, like for example, at the moment, I've basically put out an open call saying I would like this kind of content. If you have anything that suits this, come and email me. Where I work, there's a lot of kind of people know each other, so they'll ask sort of friends to do things, or you build relationships with certain writers. So in previous websites I've been on, I had a Rolodex almost of names that I knew were available and would usually say yes if I asked them to do something. And you also, some people are good for this thing, some people are good for that thing. So with video games, it's often sort of genres. So someone's good for a sports game. Someone plays a lot of Destiny. So you can, you chase down your contacts.
Okay, I understand that with freelance writers, they can pitch their ideas to you. Can you explain trying to form my words here. Can you explain the process?
Well, it'll be someone will send an email and go like, I've got this idea, I've got this interview. There's two kind of things really. Sometimes someone will come and say, I've got an idea, I'd like to write about this. Is it of interest to you? And if it is, then you say yes. You send them a commission, and you agree on a deadline and a price, and they come back at whatever the deadline is with the finished piece of work. Because I do news on Games Radar, we're very sort of for news, it follows the stats. So we look at the analytics, look at the website kind of stats, and we know what people like to read about. So, for example, someone pitched an article this week about a Nintendo game, and I've forgotten what it is. I think it's an Animal Crossing thing. Apparently, it's full of Easter eggs, and it's like a real sort of for a Nintendo fan, it's like a really great experience to find all these Easter eggs. But I know statistically from Google Analytics and stuff like that Nintendo stuff just doesn't work on our news channel. So I said it's a great idea, but I can't use this. It's not worth me commissioning you to write this because it won't be read as a news piece, but it might work as a feature. So I referred him to the features editor. So I don't know what's happened with that, but in that case, this was a pitch that wasn't suitable for us, but it might have been something else, and I would have paid for it basically.
Is that common where you'll kind of get a story and it doesn't really suit where you are the editor for, but you'll report them to someone else?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends. Like I think a lot of times I think there's two kinds of freelance writers really. The ones who are kind of like jobbing writers, so they know that certain websites will buy certain kinds of stories, And sometimes the writers have like a passion piece almost. They really like a thing, and they will try and find somewhere to house it, to give it a home. So yes, there's two kind of not two kinds of freelancers, but there's two kinds of pitching really. One is kind of, I know this site does really well with Call of Duty, so I've got an idea for a Call of Duty story because I want to earn some money and I want to be paid. Or it's, I really love this Nintendo game, I really want to write about it. Let's see if I can find someone who'll pay me.
Okay. All right. Here's a little scenario for you. You reached out to a freelance writer to go and do a story for you. They went out and did the story, and now they're reporting back to you with the finished product. How do you know if their work is good or bad?
Well, usually you've got a good idea. You've read some of their work before, so you never rarely hire someone without either a recommendation from another writer. So my editors put forward a few names to me and said these are good people. Chase them up. So yeah, you either read the stuff or you know of their reputation. You very rarely, well, never really get someone to write something you don't know anything about them, unless it's very rarely you might get someone turn around and go, I've got an interview with, I don't know, say like one of the houses. Like the houses is a GTA rock star, they never do interviews. So if a complete stranger turned around and said, I've got an interview with one of these guys, you'd probably take it just because that's such a big deal. You don't want to, don't want to let it out your sight kind of thing. But as a rule, it's always they're recommended or they're known, or you've read their stuff, you know what you're getting into.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. What is the hardest part of working with a freelance writer?
Sometimes if it's not good enough, sometimes there's a few writers I think I've used in the past where they're on the kind of cusp of, sometimes it's a bit shaky, sometimes it isn't, and sometimes you get something in and it's not good enough, or maybe sometimes actually they might not have fully understood the brief. You sent them like an explanation of what you want, and they've somehow, excuse me, sorry, stop the cat. They sometimes misinterpret it, and you don't get quite what you want. So you have to sort of feedback and either say, it's not good enough, or I need you to rework this thing. I mean, nobody ever wants to sort of hear their stuff's not good enough or not right, and it's always sort of horrible having those conversations when it happens. But you have to have it, because you don't want to publish something that isn't what you wanted or isn't good enough for the site.
Then what's the easiest part of working with a freelancer?
I think when you get something in, it's great. You get something in as soon as you read it, you're like, this is perfect. I used to do a lot of galleries. I used to work on OPM, Official PlayStation Magazine in the UK, and I used to work on the website for that. And I used to do a lot of kind of gallery stuff, 10 reasons why, or 6 things you should know, that sort of thing. And you get some of those in, and sometimes the first slide you'd read it and you go, this is great, it's perfect. You just know it's going to go down well. So yeah, when stuff works, it's always good.
Oh, definitely. Nobody likes to have a hassle if they don't need it.
Yeah.
What is a typical workday for you?
Usually in the morning, it's just sort of seeing what's happened, just checking sort of Twitter and RSS feeds and Reddit, and just sort of getting an idea of like if anything big's going on. Usually try and get a few stories up in the morning first thing. So I still do a bit of writing. I kind of need to stop doing that because I need to do more admin. But I've got a news lead who sits next to me, so she's like my kind of my second. She does a lot of the writing. So yeah, morning, check what's happening, do a lot of writing, get some stuff up, and then sort of late morning, afternoon, sort of moves into admin, so sort of checking stats, chasing up writers, working on bigger things. I'm working on a couple of features that won't be news; they'll be in the features part of the website. So I've got a few big bits to write. I did a couple of reviews recently, so they take a lot of time to do. News-wise, yeah, it's just mainly making sure you know what's happening, you're aware of what's coming, so you can prepare for it. So, for example, when Fallout came out, we knew that it was coming out. We knew roughly sort of the things we should be looking for. So, you check the Reddit for glitches or interesting finds, or just anything that you immediately think, oh, that's good. We need to cover that. So, yeah, form a plan, have an idea of roughly what's coming, but sort of reacting to what the day brings, really.
Okay. For the treatment between freelance writers and like actual company employees, is there any difference there, like how they're treated?
Not really, no. I mean, like I say, with Louise is my news lead, so she will, I will ask her to write stuff and she will write it, and it's pretty much the same process. She'll send it back to me. I'll look at it and go, can you change this? Maybe let's do this with a headline. That sentence is too long. Can you cut it in half or something? It's the same sort of similar thing of feedback, except she's on a salary. She's paid and sort of bound to the company essentially. But in terms of asking for work, receiving work, feeding back, and publishing it, it's pretty much the same. It's just the lack of a contract, basically. Sorry, the lack of a full-time contract.
Oh, okay. What is that in the background?
That's my cat. That's what I was doing. That's why I was clicking my fingers earlier, because I was scratching the carpet.
Oh, now I understand. I have cats, and they're like, you're not giving me enough attention, therefore I will make noise.
Yes, yeah. I think he's annoyed that I'm not in the kitchen, because he likes me to stand next to him when he eats, which is infuriating because I can't stand in the kitchen all the time.
The poor baby. I mean, if you need to go and give the baby some attention, I'll sit here waiting.
Actually, I've been on my phone. I'll see what he wants. Let's see if he's. No, do you want? Come here then. Yes. Come on.
Aww.
Yeah, no, he just wants some attention, but he doesn't like coming. He wants you to follow him.
Oh. Yes.
Oh, there we go. He's on the floor. Okay. Right. We've reached the truce.
That's all that actually needs to happen. Cats are gods, and they never forgot it.
Yeah. Yeah, he certainly never has.
Does the baby feel better now?
Yeah, he's calmed down.
I feel like as soon as you leave, it's going to go be like, no, I was not done.
Well, we've reached a compromise now where I can reach him and stroke him, and he's quite happy. Normally he does a thing where he just gets like just 6 inches or so out of arm's reach, and then you move, and then he moves, and then you're just doing that all afternoon.
Yep, I totally understand. All right, so next question. Mm-hmm. How is payment? Like, what's the process?
So the way it works is, so we have a program called Studio, which is where all the payments are sort of processed. So you speak to the writer, you agree on a price, on a word count, on a deadline, and then all this goes into Studio, and it sends out a commission. So the commission will say, it's basically like a contract. It says, we have agreed that you will write this piece. It will be handed in at this time. You will supply these many words, these many screens, like pictures, anything like that. So basically, it's a contract that says, this is what we want from you, and in return, we will give you this money. That's then emailed to them. They write and get it all in on deadline. And then the way it works at the moment is they have to submit then something called a purchase order or a PO. And they basically then invoice the company. So they essentially send a letter going, your editor agreed that I would write this for this amount of money. Please now pay me. And then I forget what the dates are. There's like certain dates every month where these things are processed, and then it will come out the next month. So I've done a bit of freelance recently for some of the magazines at the company. So I did like a couple of reviews and bits and pieces about 2-3 weeks ago. And because of the way it's processed, I won't get that till the end of this month, because it has to go through admin and be processed and approved and signed off. So you usually get paid sort of, on average, I'd say 6 weeks to 2 months after you did it, depending on where it falls in a date. Sometimes you might get lucky and it might go in just before a certain date, and you might get it like a month later. But as a rule, it's I'd say 6 weeks, 2 months later.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Do you have any freelance writers that solely work for you or the company?
There's a few, yes, because we've got a lot of, I wouldn't say just for like one part of the company, but Future, which is the company I work for, has got, we've got Games Radar, we've got PC Gamer and Kotaku UK in terms of online. And then there's a ton of magazines. So there's like an official PlayStation magazine, official Xbox magazine, there's Edge, there's Games Master, PC Gamer. We've also got things like Total Film and SFX, which do like film and TV stuff. So there are probably a few writers that make a living just working across all of those brands. But as a rule, they diversify, because it's just good practice. Like, you don't want to be tied to just one outlet, and then that outlet changes something and you've lost that contact. Like, there's been some people who do loads of work for a certain company through a certain person, then that person leaves and they've lost all their kind of connection to that company. So I think people probably do a lot. There's probably some people that do a lot for us, but I'd imagine they will have fingers sort of in other pies, and they're connected to other things to make sure they're safe, basically.
I'm sorry, that saying just kind of tickled me. Fingers in other pies.
Fingers in other pies. As I said it, I was like, this is probably very English. But yes, the idea that basically they keep as many connections open as possible. So, say for example, if Future tomorrow was going to do a massive cut on its freelance budget, and would have less money to throw out. Anyone that relied heavily on Future would then have to find other ways to get in money. And I know someone, I forget their name. I probably shouldn't name them anyway, but someone did do a lot of freelance for one outlet, and then that person they paid them left, and no one else knew who they were, so they just lost all of that overnight, and they had to sort of look for other ways to earn money, basically.
That is horrifying.
Well, I mean, that's the sort of the gig really with being a freelancer is you have no promises, you have no assurances, you only have like the last job you did and the next job you're about to do. So if you do, if someone does leave a company and you've relied on them heavily, you sort of, it's not your own fault, but that's something that can happen. In the same way that you could anyone could sort of get fired. It's a bit like that in a way. Anyone could sort of lose their in, or lose anyone could just lose the connection they have with a certain company, and if they had a lot of money coming from them, then obviously they lose all that money.
That is actually really fascinating. Wow.
That's the risk. I think a lot of people tend to. Very few people stay freelance forever. I think they kind of alternate a bit sometimes. As a rule, most people freelancing will eventually want something full time, because if you are freelancing, you're having to pitch and chase and look for work kind of all the time. You don't get any holiday because basically if you don't work, you don't get paid. So a lot of freelancers tend to be working like all the time, and after a few years, they sort of they have enough of it. I think that to start with, it's quite nice to have that sort of freedom and work whenever you want. And, the freelancer joke is always just sitting around in your pants typing. But eventually they decide that they want some security and they don't want to have to chase the work all the time, do the work all the time. There's a lot more sort of security to being in a company. So as a rule, I think freelancers tend to do a few years of it and then decide to settle down with something more permanent.
Only logical. Instead of being uncertain, you want more certainty in controlling your life.
Yeah, and media as well. Like it's getting like a lot of media is sort of tightening its purse strings, and sort of trying to save money because of the way the internet's going. Like basically, information is free now. So back when it was magazines, you had to buy a magazine to find something. And even with sort of websites and stuff, like there's plenty of sort of forums like NeoGAF and Reddit and stuff that will just go, well, here's this information that then cuts out the website. So the websites find it harder to sort of generate revenue from advertising and stuff. So there's the money's kind of shrinking all the time, really.
Interesting. I've been saying that a lot, but I really do mean it. Interesting.
Sorry.
Would you recommend that field to anyone?
To be honest, not really at the moment. Because, so budgets have shrunk. Actually, in some cases, it's not even that budgets have shrunk. Budgets have stayed the same for years. They've never been increased. So effectively, they've gone down because the cost of living goes up. But I wouldn't recommend. I know a few freelancers that basically have full-time jobs to support their freelancing. And it never used to be like that. You could be a freelancer and you could earn a living out of it. And there are plenty of people that do that. But there's a lot, especially of the younger writers, who will still have like a full-time job and they'll do all their freelancing in the weekend and the evenings because it doesn't quite pay enough to live off. And websites and magazines and things like that do shut down sometimes quite suddenly. There's been a few recently in the UK that shut down the other week. So the money and the organisations and the opportunities, I think, are slowly kind of shrinking. It's not as bad as it used to be. Like a few years ago when the internet sort of started to take over from print, there was a lot of kind of quite catastrophic sort of shrinking and shutting down. Now it's stabilised, but I don't think it'll ever be as good as it was, as sort of productive or as profitable as it was.
I can understand that. Not the easiest field to fall into.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of people that make a living out of it, but I wouldn't recommend it to someone, a younger person looking for their first job, let's say. You'd probably be better off if you got a job, did that for a little while, and then left to go freelance when you've built up some reputation and some contacts. But I think trying to start it cold now is not easy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So just to kind of flip the script, if someone were to go and do this, kind of build their credibility and their reputation, what advice
Mhm.
would you give them?
Uh, I think make sure people know about you. I mean, I think you've got to contact lots of people, and it's a difficult kind of balance. I think sometimes you've got to contact people, and you've got to sort of make sure they know you're there and you're willing and you're able, but you also got to sort of not badger them too much. So, I've had some people sometimes that I've had like sort of 3, 4 emails in a week, sort of almost getting closer together the longer it's taken me to answer them, and that's not a great way to ingratiate yourself. But I think you want to both be sort of specialized and diverse to some extent. So you want to be kind of good. Say like obviously I work in video games, so you want to sort of specialize, really focus on video games, but also try and do a few things elsewhere. So you can say that you've got sort of more width, and try and write for as many people as possible. Try and get your name on as many kind of websites and magazines as possible, because obviously it looks good when someone says writer for and then they list a lot of outlets and a lot of bodies. If it just says writer for and it's like 2 names, that looks a bit limiting. And good social media, I guess. Make sure people know what you've done. Good website, like with a list of sort of articles and contact details as well. Like I've been on some sort of writers' websites where the contact details aren't up front, which is obviously that's disastrous, because if people can't find you straight away, they just go somewhere else.
Oh, definitely.
Mm.
Sorry, the meow took me off from saying definitely immediately. I just heard the meow and I'm like, cat. Well, that was actually all the questions that I had. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, not really. I mean, no, not really. I think it's pretty much covered all of it, really. Okay. So this is what's this like a? So it's like, do you have dissertations? That's what we call them in England.
Dissertations.
A dissertation is basically like a massive long essay, like a sort of an 80,000.
Yeah, I'm a communication studies major at my university, and our final big project is a topic of our choice, interactive long form, and all that is required is that we have a minimum of 4 sources, and we have to have pictures, and a minimum of 2,000 words.
Oh, okay, all right. I think mine was I can't remember what mine was. Mine was like 8,000 words, 10,000 words, something like that.
Now that's daunting.
Yeah, well, that was quite a while ago as well. Like, and that was biology as well. I did my I guess my major, you'd call it. My major was biology back in the day, so I did like science stuff, and that's a lot of graphs and stuff.
Gross. Just gross. No, I'm horrible at science and math.
I've had it's been a weird old sort of career path, really, because writing was never sort of a thing that I set out to do. It's just after lots of other different jobs, it's been the one that kind of worked out the best. I know plenty of people that never set out to be writers, but it just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. That's more common, in fact, than the other way around. Like the amount of people who studied journalism or anything like that at university and then ended up doing it is the minority, I think. Maybe a bit more now, but almost certainly everyone I work with at my level studied something completely different at university.
That's a little funny. It's like, yeah, I'm basically a neuro scientist. Just kidding. I'm not. I just know how to do it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I studied biology. I worked in labs for a few years, and I did teaching for a while. I was in a band, a musician. I taught music. And then just by chance, I sort of saw a writing job, and I was like, oh, that was quite good. I'll have a go. And then I got it. That was like 10 years ago. And up until then, it was just trying lots of different jobs and going, nah, don't like this. And then this one just sort of stuck.
Now, wow. Okay. That's one hell of a path.
Yeah. So it makes for an interesting CV.
True. At least now, if I ever catch wind of a television show and it's similar to yours, I'm just gonna tweet you and be like, so, when did this happen? Definitely.
Actually, thinking about freelance as well is there's so many because video is still. Well, video is obviously more important now than ever, and never really done a lot of freelancey stuff with that. I wonder how that works, because video content would be an interesting place, I think, for freelance to take to expand into. Generally, most places have dedicated video teams who do that stuff. I've never seen any videoing kind of freelancers apart from they just come in and edit. You know, they're like in the office for a week doing some stuff. I've never really commissioned anyone to say, I'd like a video about this. Can you do this stuff and then send it back?
Would it be because video takes a little longer than writing it up?
I suspect possibly because video is still kind of siloed a little bit. Like you don't really have. Video takes a bit longer. I think a lot of time the people doing video, like they're too busy just getting video done. Like we do a weekly news show, and between filming and production, that takes about a day and a half to do a 5-minute news show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd imagine most video teams are just too busy doing all their own stuff to have someone kind of like creating content outside, and then them having to really realistically, someone's got to supervise the editing.
Mm-hmm. Someone has to get the footage. Someone has to edit it. Someone has to look over the finished product and then go back and fix it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind betting that could be that could be something in the future that would happen because, video content is obviously that is kind of taking over in a way. Like you increasingly see people getting disappointed they have to read something. Why can't it be a video? Why have they got to read a thing?
Right.
So I wonder what happened in a few years' time when sort of the YouTube generation that has only ever grown up with YouTube, when they're in the sort of the middle management level. I'm fascinated to see what media looks like then.
That's an interesting thought. Never quite
sorry.
Like that. Oh no, continue.
I was going to say, because most of the time now, most of the people sort of still in that kind of middle management, senior editorial kind of levels. They are late 20s, early 30s, maybe a bit older. So it would be a good. I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to think of some. We've got some staff writers at the moment, like 20, 21, something like that. So it could be a good 10, 15 years before that sort of generation are in the position of running whole organisations or whole magazines or websites or whatever. But when they get there, that'll be interesting because obviously they will have grown up in a completely different media environment to the people running it now.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be next few years could be unpredictable.
Definitely. But thank you again for giving me the time to interview you.
No, it's fine. It's a Sunday afternoon here, so it's not a lot going on. Literally just hoovered, so you weren't interrupting much.
Except the cat. Unfortunately, I interrupted the baby.
No, he's sat on my lap now, so he's quite happy. He has shut up, which is good.
I thought because at one point I could hear purring, and I was like, "Oh, something's happening." It sounds adorable.
He's purring now. I don't know if you can hear him.
Aww. What's your cat's name?
Is it El Guapo?
El Guapo.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen like Three Amigos. I watched a film called Three Amigos, like a comedy, the night before I picked him up, and the bad guy was called El Guapo. So I just thought, that's a good name.
Fitting name.
Ever since I've had to explain it.
Fitting name, definitely.
Yes. What's your cat called?
I have 4 cats.
Wow.
I mean, I am an aspiring cat lady, so this is just practice. I have 4. They're all a family. The father is Midnight. The mother is Smokers. The son is Black Knight, and the daughter is Night Star.
Nice. They all sound like a team of, I don't know, space heroes or something.
They're a team of assholes.
So I've got one, and that's work enough. Like I've got like a piece of cloth on a piece of on one of my stairways because he doesn't scratch. Like he doesn't really do much scratching. He's not a destructive cat apart from this one sort of square foot of carpet on the stairs that he absolutely wails on if it's uncovered. But if you cover it, he doesn't go anywhere else. So I have to have this piece of cloth. Like people come round and it's like, why is that there? And it's like this piece of cloth just laid on the stairs because like if I take it away, he destroys the carpet. Mm-hmm. But he won't go anywhere else and scratch anywhere else. So yeah, like that's one cat. My sister used to have about 3 or 4 cats, and her house looks like it's been shredded.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think she's now waiting for her cats to die. She's like, I'm not going to have cats anymore because she's never had a nice sofa. She's never had like nice chairs. Everything's covered in hair. I think she's finally had enough.
Oh, definitely. That's at home. My mom got a leather couch set. She was very excited, and then she brought it home, and my cat decided to jump on and then had a nightmare that apparently made her start running. And she just tore it up. And my mother looked at me saying, I cannot wait for you to go to college, graduate, and move out because you were taking these cats. That's it.
He's not too destructive, but he's grey and white as well, so that covers all colour of clothing.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's long hair. He wasn't long hair when I picked him up. I always feel a bit sort of not annoyed, but he was a short-haired cat when I got him, but he was like 5 weeks old, and obviously as cat puberty or whatever kicked in, he suddenly turned into an enormous fluffy cat, so it gets everywhere.
Oh, now I have 3 black cats and then 1 gray cat.
All right.
And so thankfully their fur doesn't show up too often. It only sucks because with my roommate, she's deadly allergic to cats. Her throat will close. So every time I come home and then go back to college, I'll have to look at her and be like, don't touch me, I have to wash my clothes. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, then I'm a nuisance. I'm like, I mean, you could just stay in your room all day and I can kidnap all the cats.
No, his fur gets into like other people's clothes who don't come to my house because it comes out of my clothing and then gets into other people's clothing.
I understand. Give that one hug, and then all of a sudden, everywhere around you is just covered in your cat's fur. And you're like, I'm so sorry.
And it gets on your face, and then once you've pulled a bit off, you think you sort of imagine it's there for the rest of the day. You're pulling imaginary cat hair off your face because I got stubble as well, so it gets like in my stubble.
Oh yeah,
like Velcro.
Yep. That's always the tough part whenever my guy friends would come over and they would just love my cat, and I'm like, you have cat fur on your face? They go, what? I'm like, you have cat fur on your face.
Oh yeah, no. Once you think it's there as well, you just think it's there all day.
Mm-hmm. You're always constantly like touching your face and like just like wiping it, saying there's nothing there. I'm like, you don't know, you don't have a cat. Definitely. And you learn to stop buying black clothing and or just give up.
Yeah, I sort of miss black clothing. I used to like black t-shirts, but yeah, there's absolutely no point now.
No, I just tell everyone as soon as I walk into a room, I have a cat, so they don't question me. They just know why I have hair everywhere.
Yeah, I think most people know I've got a cat now, so they made their peace with finding his hair on the sofa, on their sofa, I should say, like in a completely different house.
Now I love meeting dog owners when I have cat hair all over me, because then it's like a secret exchange of fur. Yeah. You'll just have dog hair on you and they have cat hair on them, and you're like, how did this happen?
Yeah, my parents have got a dog. Whenever I go home, she gets really sort of excited to sort of like smell and go over everything, because obviously I'm bringing back a completely different animal's kind of stuff. So yeah, she goes nuts the first time I go home.
Nope. As soon as my cats smell dog, they look at me like I betrayed them their whole life. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I'll try to love them. They're like, no, go away. I don't like you today. Yeah,
no, he likes my shoes. Like when I come in, he spends ages checking my shoes out, because I guess they've obviously brought back like all the smells of the day. So that's like, I don't know, like his entertainment for the evening. He'll just sit there and investigate my shoes for a good half an hour.
Does your cat actually like get in your shoe and just sit in it?
No, he literally sniffs the soles and goes around and checks all underneath the soles and sniffs them all. Like sometimes when I'm still wearing them, I have to sort of take them off and let him have a go at it, because he doesn't go outside. He's not an outside cat at all. He hates it. So he sort of stares out the window. He does go and sit on the windowsill actually in the summer, but I tried to get him to go outside before, and he hates it. He fights to get back in.
He's like, why would you do this to me?
Yeah. No, it's like have you ever seen Omen? The film Omen. Yeah, like when they try and get Damien to go in the cathedral. That's me trying to get him to go outside.
I understand. All 4 of my cats back at home are outdoor cats, and it's hard to get them inside. As soon as I bring them inside, I've lost their trust. I've lost their love.
My old cat was an outdoor cat, and he used to disappear for like 2-3 days at a time. It just turn up every now and then. But this one's a complete opposite.
I wish my cats would come inside and just stay in there, but they're like, no, I'm an uncontrolled cat until you feed me. Then I'm yours. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I was always a dog person. I don't know quite. I end up with cats by accident.
Saying this was on accident, guys. I didn't mean for this.
Yeah, this was never the plan.
I'm always surrounded by dog friends instead of cat friends, and I'm like, I'm love all animals. I'm more of a cat person. How did I become friends with you?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know, but here's my golden retriever. And then I'm like, I don't understand how I'm friends with you still, as the golden retriever is laying on me, and I'm just smiling happily.
Yeah, no, I love dogs. And I love all my sort of dog friends for specifically that reason. I think the next pet, if I can, will be a dog.
Pot.
I mean, this guy's 10, so I've got a good sort of 5-6 years, I think, at least, of the current cat. But yeah, the next thing hopefully will be a dog.
Plot twist is going to be another cat. It's going to be
yeah, it probably will. Yeah.
It's gonna be 2 cats, and you're gonna just look around and be like, "How does this keep happening?"
Yeah.
So I even went to the dog pound. How did I get a cat?
Yeah, but when I went to he was a rescue cat when I went to like a pound, but they had like a cat wing and a dog wing, so I only saw the cats.
Stared at the other end, be like, I kind of wanted a dog, but this cat is speaking to me.
Because I live too far away, really, to like dogs. I'd have to leave the dog alone all day if I got one, so that's why it's always ended up being cats, because I know I can leave them behind and they're fine, but a dog would just be sat at home for hours at a time.
True.
Which is not fair, really.
Yeah, that's when you just feel bad, but like, I'm so sorry. So be the most apologetic owner. Aw, the baby.
Yeah.
El Guapo.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just walking into the kitchen because the cat wanted some food. Go on then. No. Is he going to eat? Yes, he's going to eat. Right. Well, it was lovely to speak to you. I hope hope that was everything you needed.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. If you've got any more questions or anything, just drop us a line and I can add to anything if you need it.
Oh, thank you. I do have one request.
Yeah.
Can I please have a picture of you to add to my long form?
Yes, I will. Yeah, if you can hang on till tomorrow, I've got like some proper sort of studio ones that they take to use for work stuff, so I can get you a nice, like a properly lit thing.
Okay, that's fine.
Cool.
Thank you, and I'm gonna forever say fingers in the pie.
Fingers in the pie. It's a good saying.
I love it. I'm just gonna be like, my life has been changed thanks to Leon. I now say fingers in the pie.
Yeah, start using it at school, and everyone will be like, "What?"
Exactly, and I'll be like, "Haha, you have no idea."
Cool. Well, good luck with the essay, the project thing. And,
Thank you.
Yeah, I shall send you a picture tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. And you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.